First thing you want to do is set your grow mode. Hold menu, press set to go into modes, and that's your grow mode. It's set to recirc auto, recirculating mode. Our recirculating mode is meant for straight media, which is what this system is. It's straight perlite. So straight media is your straight perlite, straight hydroton, straight cocoa, or a mix of those. And our recirculating mode also covers NFT, which is nutrient film technique, and DWC, RDWC, bubble ponics, and those are deep water culture, and low pressure aeroponics. We have another mode for high pressure aeroponics. So let's toggle through the modes we have. So let's go to the start, standby, run to waste. So many people use run to waste systems, and this is the only controller I've seen that can automate one, and it can fully automate it. Recirculating, so that's the one I just talked about, but these are all semi-auto. That's why it doesn't say auto in brackets. Flood and drain, and high pressure aeroponics. Then run to waste auto, so that's fully automatic. Recirc auto, which is what we're running. Flood and drain auto, and aeroponics auto, high pressure aeroponics. And aquaponics. Aquaponics is only in full auto. There's no semi-auto for this. And you'll notice that it only asks you for the reservoir change when you're in a full auto recirculating mode. So that's why it appears there and then disappears. Run to waste, recirculating. See, these don't have it because they're semi-auto. So you do your reservoir change on command. You command it with these buttons, and I'll show you how to do that. It's not hard at all. And let's keep going. So aeroponics. See, it's still not there because it's run to waste. Even though it's on full auto, in run to waste, you don't have reservoir changes. You feed out the reservoir completely to the plants and then refill it. But for recirc auto, then you have it for flood and drain auto, aeroponics auto, and aquaponics, because this is a full auto only mode and it's recirculating. So you have that option. And then when you want to set your mode, so let's say I want to set it to run to waste, just press set, and that's it. And then if I don't set it, which I didn't, then when I move from here, it'll revert to where it's saved. And there it is. So then once you set your grow mode, then if you need to set this, just press tog to change it and then set to set it. Or hold tog to go faster. And it goes up to 95 days, down to 1 day. And you can set it to never if you like. So never, it'll never do a change. You can do them on command, or every day, every 2 days, and so on. And set to set it, but since I didn't set it, it'll go back to 21 days. And that's all you need to do for that. And then the next thing, go back into settings menu, go down to calibrate, synchronize your clocks, and that's very simple. Just press set to go in and then press sync. Just press set there, synchronized. And to actually set the time in here, go to your master home screen and press menu. So let's set it to there. It's just with the arrows, very simple. there, there, and there, and it's set. So that's the time and date saved in here. But then you need to go to your controller and synchronize. So then the time that's in here will be the same as the time in here. And that's how you set the time in the controller, just by synchronizing. I'll show you again. So you hold for settings, calibrate, set, clock sync, and then sync. And that's it. And then calibrate your probes. Very easy to do. So I'll show you the cow EC. You set your low point and then your high point. Use the arrows to change it. And for your low point, you can use tap water if you know the EC of your tap water. Usually it's around 0.4. And that's nice to have because then you've got a free supply of low point solution. And then press menu to go back. See, if I wanted to proceed, I would just go next, and then next, and then it'll synchronize, start calibration, and it's telling me to begin the process. Very easy to follow the instructions, but I'm going to abort, and that way it didn't actually save anything. And the next thing you want to do is, so we've set our grow mode and the reservoir change. We've synchronized the clocks, calibrated probes, and then set your reservoir size. If you look at this reservoir for zone D, it's 80 liters. So that's how big it is. And you simply set it so that the system knows how big it is. And that way it doses accordingly. So just go down with the arrows. So we're here, set reservoir size, press set, 80 liters. Which is what this is. To change it, use the arrows. Hold it to go faster. It goes all the way down to 10 liters and up to 50,000 liters. So it can run tremendous systems. And to actually set it, press set. And to cancel, press menu. So it's that easy. Just press set to set it. And you're done. But I didn't set it, so when I go back there, it's still on 80, see? And then that's all you really need to do aside from your feeding schedule. So quick settings. Remember, let's go back home. So this is home. Quick press to go to quick settings. Third one is feed schedule. And this is the next thing you would want to set. Just set your feed schedule. So press set, change it with that, set, and that goes all the way down to 1 second. Same with this one. And that's all you do. Just press set to actually set it, menu to cancel. And that's all your settings. All your important settings to actually get started. And then you have some other more bonus type settings. Like let's say you got extras here. So fuel pump shut off. So if I don't successfully fill up after that long, it'll give up and send an alarm. And I only have that because I'm using a supply tank. So if that tank happened to be empty, then I wouldn't want to keep trying to fill and burn up my pump. Just a backup thing. it's never actually been necessary because that's always stayed topped up with RO water. Let's go back in. And the reason it went out by itself is because if you don't press anything for a while, it just goes back home. So go back in to extras. And then you've got your same thing with drain pump shut off, same thing. And to actually change it, just press set and then use the arrows. Menu to cancel. And then auto dilute, mainly used for aquaponics. So if the EC goes that far above your set point, it'll start to dilute, meaning it'll dump a bit of water and bring in some fresh water. And keep doing that until the EC gets down to your set point. So if it goes that far above your set point, it'll start diluting back down to your set point. And that's it. Press set to set it. If I move without setting it, it'll go back to off. Menu to go back again. Some other... Okay, this is kind of important. In your delays. Okay, light timer delay is simply your light time protection delay. So if you were using one of these optional ports to run grow lighting, you could set a delay so if the power goes on and then off and back on really quickly, it won't flicker your lights off and on. It'll wait 10 minutes and then turn them back on. And then let's go back. So that's all that is. And similarly in your climate controller, you have that option too. You can set any of these optional ports to grow light timer and set that delay. So down here you have your high and low float delays. And I'll explain what those are because they give you some versatility. So high, let's go in there, it's on 3 seconds. You can change it like that. Low is on 30 seconds. And I'll tell you why. So if you look at the floats that I showed you before, your high and your low, that's your low and that's your high. So when the water gets down to there, it registers at the low level. And same with the high. That'll be your high level. The reason I have a 30-second delay is because I want to get as much of this old water out as possible when I do a dump out. But it's not possible to actually set this float up at the very bottom of the tank due to the shape and also the fact that this float goes down, it tilts down, so you have to be at least about 1.5 inches up from the bottom. And many other reservoirs will actually slope in at the bottom, meaning you'll have to put this even higher up. So if you want to get more of the water out, set your low float delay to say 30 seconds in my case. So when the water starts draining out, it does the dump out, the water level will be going down. And when it gets to this float, rather than shutting off the drain pump immediately and starting the refill, it'll keep draining for 30 more seconds and then refill. So that's why I've set the low float to 30 seconds. So when it gets here, 30 more seconds of draining and then it stops. And same thing with the high float. If you set your high float delay to, let's say, 10 seconds, when it's doing the refill, when it gets to the high float, it'll wait 10 more seconds before it stops refilling. And I've set it to 3 seconds. And you want it to be at least 3 seconds, so that way any oscillations in the water won't be affecting this. because if it just dips down real quickly, it won't actually register. It waits 3 seconds. So that's what the low float and high float delays are for. And then you've got your top up delay. This is also kind of important because it also gives you versatility and gives you the ability to run very large systems. And I'll explain why. So what your top up delay is, it's the delay in between when it finishes feeding out to the plants and when it starts the top up. So I'll go through that again. It sends water out this tube, which is your feed tube, and to the plants. And as it's doing that, obviously the water level in here will be going down because it's pulling water from here and sending it to the plants. And the water goes out to the feeding rings, goes in, and then has to drain down, and through all these pots it has to drain down, and it goes down and then back through all these tubes and back into the reservoir like I showed you earlier. And obviously that takes a bit of time, so it has to go into the pots, drain down through the tubes and back in. And you don't want to start the top up, so remember this is your refill tube, and this will start refilling it after that delay is over, because you wouldn't want to start topping up while water is still coming back through this tube from the plants. You want to wait for most of it to, or all of it, to drain in and then start the top up. So I've set it to 10 minutes because I press set here. You can see it's set to 10 minutes because it takes roughly 10 minutes for all the water to come back in. And it doesn't need to be exact. And if you had a very large system, it could take longer. So you can change it with these arrows. And it goes up to about 24 hours. Yeah. And you can set it to nothing. Five seconds, no delay. So if you wanted, you could have no delay. And press menu to cancel. See if I go back in, it's still on 10 minutes. And I just want to explain quickly why you need a top up after each feed. And bear in mind, this happens automatically. You don't need to think about it. But each time the system sends water to the plants for a feeding, and then the water returns, not all of it returns. Some will evaporate, some will be retained by the medium, which is perlite, and the plants will be drinking it. So you'll need a top up to make sure that the water level stays at the top level here. Otherwise it'll just keep going down and down until there's none left. And that's why you need a top up. So the next thing I want to show you is how to set up some different feed timers. So in your quick settings, you go to feed schedule, and I showed you how to set the cycle timer. So you just press set, and then you can set these down here. But if you press toggle, so you can have it off, this is clock mode, so you can start at a given time and then choose the length, let's say 10 seconds, and then that's the most it'll let you do based on the length, and this will go down to 1 per day. And then it will keep going down to 1 per 31 days. So very versatile. And just press set to set it, and menu to cancel. And then same with this, if you press toggle, you can choose on 24/7 cycle timer mode, or off, or clock mode, 24-hour clock timer. So that's that. And the next thing I want to show you is how to set the outlets. So here you see mixer pump is set to HC/op. And I showed you that before, that the mixer pump is plugged into this outlet here, HC/op. So since I've got it set there, mixer pump is on there, that outlet will be running the mixer pump. If I set it to inactive, then this will be running a heater or cooler, which is the main purpose for this outlet. So let's set it there, press set, it'll send it. And now if I go down here, I can choose water cooler or heater by pressing toggle. So you choose the one you want, press set to set it. But I'll set it back to the mixer pump. And you'll notice that I can't select the drain/op port. See, I've only got those two options. And the reason is because I'm running in a recirculating mode. And for all recirculating systems, you need to have the drain pump available. So that's why this is not optional. If you're in a run to waste mode, then this will be optional. And that means I could set the light timer to this port, for example. And that can also be a cycle timer. But since that port's not optional, it's not available since that's already taken up. But if I set that to inactive, then I could come down here and set the light timer to HC/op. But then that becomes not available because there's only one port available. And let's just set it to inactive, go back here and set that. So now we're set to where we need to be because I've got a mixer pump plugged in there. And that's why you want mixer pump to be set to there. And that's that. And next, I want to show you how to set your zones. So if you come up to calibrate, go to your next page up there, and then down to manual zone select. So I did mention earlier that this is set to zone D. I mentioned that in one of the first videos. And because this is set to zone D, then you've got the option to set it to the other zones. So there's A, B, and C. A, B, C. It's already on D, so you can set to the remaining zones. And that's how simple it is. You just press set, and it'll shift it to that zone. And you don't need to do this unless you have more than one unit and you want to make sure they're on different zones. So if you had two of these, you could set one to zone A, one to zone B, or zone C or D. It's up to you. And that's how simple it is. Now, the next thing I want to do is show you how to set or how to command the operations that are needed when you're running in semi-auto. For example, fill the reservoir or drain the reservoir, prepare the reservoir, start maintenance. All those things you can do through the menus. But remember, when you're in full auto, then you don't need to do any of that. Nothing at all. Just leave it be. We're going to go through that in the next video.